Some games have RPG elements, some have crafting, survival, and mining aspects with a touch of exploration in them. Terraria, however, has a blend of all of these aspects that is perfectly balanced so that there is an activity for a lot of people to participate in at almost any given time. Feel like spelunking for treasure and rare ores? You can do that. Feel like making armor from the various ores you mine down in the caves? You can do that as well. You can even fight a giant pigfish demon thing if you so wish. No, not that pig demon. This pig demon. If you can call Duke Fisheron a pig in the first place, that is. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with the beginning, actually. So, after you purchase and download Terraria, you are greeted with the title screen, and then you get the option to create your character, which is a surprisingly in-depth character creator for just 2D sprites. After you're done creating and then naming your character, you create a world and select the size you want. Even though Terraria does not have the prowess of procedural generation that games like Minecraft and No Man's Sky do, you can bet that it's filled to the brim with content, even on the smallest world size. Following that, and a little bit of loading, you are just thrust into the world and left to your own devices, but not totally clueless, as you have a friendly guide NPC, or non-playable character, for those who have never heard of the term, to help you through every step of the way and to get the ball rolling. Your first objective will be to build a house for both you and your new guide friend, so that you can be sheltered for when the night comes. Trust me when I say this, you do not want to be caught out in the open during nighttime, especially on the harder difficulties like Expert Mode, which is selectable when you create your world, where enemies have more health and hit a lot harder, but there's also exclusive rewards that can be obtained only through Expert Mode from bosses, like the Worm Scarf and the Shield of Cthulhu. So yeah, there's a bit of a risk versus reward element going on there. After you've built your shelter and presumably farmed slimes on the surface for enough gel that would put Nickelodeon to shame, and made some torches out of that gel, it's finally time to go below the surface and see what treasures and trials await you on your grand adventure. As you descend further and further, there are a lot of different ores and materials to be gathered, like tin, lead, platinum, and silver. Some of the ores will be different depending on what type of world evil you have. What's the world evil, you may ask? Well, I'll get to that in a moment. For now, let's continue with this train of thought. So, after a bit of mining, you come back up to the surface with your newly found ores and loot from the underground houses to find that it's daytime again. You decide to craft some new gear and head out of your little shelter to explore a little bit. The biome variety in Terraria is absolutely staggering. You have snow, desert, jungles, and much more. Out of all these biomes, however, two of these really stand out: the Crimson and the Corruption, or the World Evils. These biomes are particularly dangerous because they have stronger enemies and environmental hazards like pitfalls if you have Corruption, or just one big pit if you have Crimson. You can tell what biome you have when you create the world. Anyways, you soon find that, even with your newly made equipment, the enemies in these biomes still hit pretty hard, so you decide to return to go back underground again when the next night comes. This time around, you find even more items, even more loot, and something called the Life Crystal, which lets you increase your maximum health by 20. With each new crystal you consume, you gain more and more HP, hit points, with the current cap being 400, at least in the first half of the game. Spoilers, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Those enemies that were causing you problems before no longer do so due to your upgrades in both armor and health. Also, using the resources that you've acquired during multiple mining sessions, you expand your little house into a bustling village, complete with a plethora of different NPCs to provide different services for you, like just a general shop, or explosives eventually. In fact, almost every activity that you can do in Terraria serves to make you stronger, and this is just the core gameplay loop of Terraria itself. The real fun starts with the aforementioned bosses of the game. The first boss the player will normally encounter in their playthroughs of Terraria will most likely be the Eye of Cthulhu, which spawns with a 1/3 chance each night when you have at least 200 health and 10 defense, when you have at least 3 NPCs in your village or house, and the Eye of Cthulhu itself has not been defeated yet in your world. This will be your first real test of strength, and it's up to you to conquer it and claim your loot. With a little bit of sweat and elbow grease, you manage to triumph over your ocular foe, and claim your rewards. However, now that you as the player have tasted victory once, Terraria always gives you the incentive to keep on going, and that drive to make yourself stronger never fully goes away after that first taste of power. Another detail you'll quickly notice is that with some of the bosses, after they have been defeated, change the world in a significant way. Some bosses being defeated are prerequisites for new NPCs to arrive, and for new events to occur, which gives this grand, dynamic, and ever-changing feeling to the world of Terraria. Eventually, you conquer more and more of the overworld bosses, getting stronger and stronger with each one you best, even overcoming the likes of the dungeon, a fearsome labyrinth of the undead tucked away at the edge of the world, with rare and valuable weapons hidden away in its depths. With the dungeon plundered and conquered, you wonder what else there could be to do in Terraria. Then there comes the realization that you never really went as far as you could go down underground, as the trips that you had made beforehand were just for ores, loot, life crystals, and building materials to expand your village. So, it is that with renewed curiosity, you set out to uncover the mystery of what lies at the deepest depths of the underground. As the player makes their way down deeper and deeper, the environment changes. Where there was once water, there is now lava and brimstone. The enemies also become a little stronger as the player makes their descent into the unknown, but that's nothing, as you've bested much more than just these enemies before now. Then the music changes. What was once a more subterranean and adventurous type of music turns to that of abruptness and fear. With a heavy heart and focused mind, you take a couple swings of your pickaxe, only to open up to a realm that feels like it was sealed off from the rest of the world a long time ago, and perhaps for good reason. Welcome to Hell. Or is it the Underworld? Anyways, you fight through the various hellspawn and demons to find an odd-looking voodoo doll. You kill the demon, but then the doll accidentally falls in the lava, only to summon the Wall of Flesh? What is this, Bloodborne? Eventually, with enough persistence and patience, the Wall of Flesh is felled by your hands too. But what's this? The ancient spirits of light and dark have been released. That's right, you've just entered the second half of the game, commonly known as Hard Mode.
Congratulations!
I won't say too much about Hard Mode because I want to keep some of the surprises a secret, but I'll just say a few key points. In Hard Mode, your old armor won't cut it anymore, as the new enemies that you'll soon encounter will tear you to shreds if you're not careful. To remedy this, on defeat, the Wall of Flesh gives you a special hammer that allows you to break demon or crimson altars depending on your world evil, thus blessing your world with new ores to make new armor and equipment with. What's more is that a new biome called the Hallow is added into the game, which is a land full of pixies and unicorns. However, they will still kill you, despite their pleasant looks. Oh, and before I forget to mention this little detail, did you know that When you enter hard mode, the Crimson, Corruption, and the Hallow all gain the ability to spread, as in contaminate your village that you've worked so hard to build and protect with all your important NPCs in it. Yeah, that sounds absolutely terrifying, doesn't it? Don't worry though, as there are many ways at your disposal to combat this, but have fun with that. Lastly, there are obviously a ton of new bosses, new events, and even a new way to increase your maximum health through the consumption of jungle fruit, so there's that. Before I wrap this up, I want to touch upon the modding aspect of Terraria a little bit. Yes, believe it or not, this game has mods too, and some of the creativity of these mods is mind-blowing. All you really need is a program called TModLoader, or Terraria Mod Loader. The mod files you want, and you just need to follow the instructions listed on the official TModLoader website. Link to that will be in the description below. Some of the mods that you can download range from simple quality of life inventory management mods to what feels like updates and expansions to the game, like the Juiced mod and the Calamity mod. The former adds new items and bosses like the Jumbo Cactuar, Gilgamesh and Enkidu, with all of them being from Final Fantasy, and the SAX from Metroid Fusion. Okay, how has this not been ceased and desisted yet by Square Enix and Nintendo? No, wait, I didn't mean that literally! With the Calamity mod, it adds a ton of new bosses, items, and even some custom difficulty modes to spice things up a bit. It's only a matter of time before we get a mod that includes a quote-unquote heaven realm in Terraria, high above the clouds, complete with angels and temples, and a lot of other imagery and sky creatures. Something akin to Minecraft's Aether mod and its later sequel mod, Aether 2. I always found it kinda weird how there was no real counterpart to complement the Underworld in the base game, and that's the only minor nitpick I have with the game as a whole. Yes, I know that we have the Hallow biome and floating islands, but that really isn't the same as a huge floating kingdom in the sky that stretches to the very edges of the world, just like the Underworld does down below. So, that was Terraria. The game is one of my all-time favorites because of the sheer number of things to do and tasks to accomplish, and I really love how you can see yourself progress from surviving to really making the world your own with your overpowered gear and weapons. That's all I have for today, folks, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as that helps my channel immensely. There's also my new Discord server I have, so come and join that in the description below. See you all next time!